In a previous interview, you talked about struggling throughout the season. So what changed and how are you able to turn the page so that the end of the season went a lot better?
When the 2024 season tipped off, Lexie Hull looked like she was fading from the WNBA conversation entirely. Just 2 years earlier, she had been the 6th overall pick, a player who carried herself like a future franchise piece and championship leader at Stanford. But under former coach Christy Sides, Hull found herself glued to the bench, collecting splinters instead of minutes while other role players leapt ahead of her in the rotation. The whispers grew louder. Would Hull ever deliver on her promise, or was she destined to become just another high draft pick lost to the shadows?
So you have basketball in your genes. Your grandfather played basketball, your dad, and you have a twin sister who you played basketball with growing up. What was it like growing up in that family dynamic?
Well, we have a super competitive family, and having my dad play basketball collegiately, knew that basketball was going to be put in my hands at an early age, but my parents were, super excited about having us try every sport imaginable. So yeah, we grew up, my sister and I, playing a little bit of everything.
Then everything shifted. The arrival of Caitlin Clark, a once-in-a-generation star, didn't just alter the Fever's lineup, it completely redefined the franchise's identity. She brought sneakers squeaking with energy, an electric style of play, and a gravity that pulled everything toward her. Suddenly, the offense had purpose, the chemistry had spark, and every player's path looked different. For Lexie Hull, Clark's debut wasn't just another teammate joining the roster. It was a lifeline. Show your support for Lexie in the comments with Lexie Show. Let's go.
I think it was important to get to know her off the court because I do think that, connections, getting to know people really play a part in the success of teams.
In recent interviews with She's for Sports and the Dunker Spot, Paul spoke with striking honesty. She detailed what really unfolded inside that locker room, how Caitlin Clark's arrival completely altered the course of her career, and what it means for the Fever to transform from a struggling mess into one of basketball's most compelling stories. This isn't just about the revival of one player. It's about leadership, redemption, and a cultural shift that could define the future of the Indiana Fever.
She's been called the clutch player by WNBA fans, and she was drafted to the W in 2022 with the Indiana Fever in the first round as the 6th pick. I'm talking about professional basketball player Lexie Hull.
For Hull, the opening stretch of 2024 was brutal. Despite her draft status and decorated college career, she couldn't crack the regular rotation. Night after night, she sat with a towel draped over her shoulders, watching Christy Wallace, Katie Lou Samuelson, and others with only a fraction of her upside soak up the minutes that once seemed destined to be hers.
At the beginning of the season, my playing time definitely looked different than it did at the end. So trusting that, I was staying ready, putting in the work so that when I did get the minutes out on the court, that I could take full advantage of them. So I was just really proud of myself for trusting the process and staying the course.
Stung. The shift from Stanford standout to Indiana benchwarmer tested Hull just as much mentally as it did physically.
The basketball part of the transition is really tough. Everybody out on the court was one of the best players on their college teams, definitely the best player likely from their high school team. So it's just this mishmash of the best basketball players, and then you're playing against people that have been there for years and years.
Meanwhile, the team was spiraling. The Fever stumbled out of the gate with a 1-8 record, a bleak start that left Indianapolis fans desperate for answers. But none were coming.
We were just sick that we had lost so many games and also feeling like we were better than that.
Headlines were brutal. Weak defense, sloppy rotations, zero chemistry. As the whole ship seemed to be sinking, Hull sat stranded on the sidelines, fighting her own doubts while the rest of the locker room buckled under the pressure.
Part of my role is just getting to the open spots, and we have such a good offense that people find the open person. So to be that open person, you get excited. You get excited for the opportunity to shoot and score and be part of the momentum.
Hull refused to let the narrative define her. She doubled down on the work, sharpening her cuts, tightening her jumper, and staying ready for any scraps of opportunity that came her way. Through it all, she leaned on the belief of her teammates, who saw her potential even when the box scores didn't. That belief became her fuel.
What is it like playing off of Caitlin Clark, Kelsey Mitchell, and Aaliyah Boston?
I mean, they make my job really easy, right? It's awesome. And it's really cool to see all of them just grow not only from this year, but playing 3 years with Kelsey, 2 years with Aaliyah. They're so impressive.
Everything shifted the moment Clark arrived. As soon as Caitlin stepped into the locker room, it felt like the lights came back on. Energy returned to practices, arenas filled with fans, and Indiana was no longer a punchline. Overnight, the Fever became the league's hottest ticket. Clark's competitive edge and relentless drive set the standard, and everyone else had no choice but to rise with her.
And I think it's really fun because they garner so much attention, obviously, from the other team's defense. So then it allows the other players, me included, to make cuts, make reads, and they're really good at finding, those openings and giving the ball up when it's needed and finding the better shot. So it's really fun, and I feel really lucky to get to play with them.
We practice against guys, and if they're not winning, Caitlin will do everything she can to push them to compete, Hull said with a laugh. It's more than just energy, it's transformation.
I mean, I definitely got passes and tried to finish when I wasn't expecting to get the ball. So now it's okay, every cut I have, every cut I make, every fast break I run, I have a real opportunity to get the ball, which definitely took me a second. And I think it really just took one of those to really get my head around oh, she's all the way down at the other end of the floor and she could still make the pass to me down at the block at this end. So, it's been awesome.
Clark's impact stretched far beyond star power. Her mind was wired for fast-forward basketball, reading defenses like a veteran quarterback and threading passes into gaps her teammates didn't even see. For Hull, it was eye-opening. Suddenly, she was finding herself in scoring spots she'd never been before. She's making passes I didn't think were possible, Hull admitted. With defenders swarming to Clark like a magnet, her vision tore open defenses and freed her teammates. The Fever's offense was no longer stuck in neutral. It was alive, it was buzzing.
It's so fun to be able to know that you're not just cutting to cut, knowing that you're cutting with the possibility of actually making a really cool play. So that makes it that much more worthwhile.
Clark's impact stretched far beyond spreading through the roster like wildfire. Her mind was wired for fast-forward basketball. Lifted everyone. Reading defenses like a veteran quarterback and threading passes into gaps her teammates didn't even see. She brought more than just buckets. She brought belief. She was finding herself in scoring spots. The team quickly embraced Clark's maturity and leadership. Passes I didn't think were possible. Came a surge in confidence, chemistry, with defenders swarming to Clark like a magnet. Her vision tore open defenses and freed her teammates. The Fever's offense was no longer stuck in neutral. It was alive, it was buzzing.
She sees the game at a bigger scale, obviously with the platform that she's created for herself, and then that's transitioned to the game. It's huge. And I think for me, especially as a point guard and as someone that's delivering a lot of the passes that lead to shots, if I miss, she's definitely going to say you got the next one. I can count on her for keeping me confident and positive. So yeah, I think that shows the player that she is and the leader she is as a point guard.